So the statement that I like to say is, I am ADRA, you are ADRA, together we are ADRA, and together we can make a difference. And I strongly believe that if each of us took that motto on board, we would actually realise that as a faith-based organisation, we have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of the marginalised communities, the vulnerable. By showing love, justice and compassion, we can make a difference in the lives of millions around the world. So today, join. Let's be ADRA together. So at ADRA International, I was the Marketing and Communications Director. And what this entailed was working with not only the churches, but the wider community and different donors to talk about the work of ADRA International, and also to bring on board donors that could support the work that we do. One of the key things that we did whilst I was in that role was the 2015 GC exhibition, which showcased the work of ADRA around the world. And also I was a part producer for the 9-part documentary series talking about the work of ADRA that went globally around the world. And that was a really, it was a really impactful way of showing the work that ADRA International does, but also showing the different country offices and the work that they do to make a difference to the different communities that we work in. My reasons for working in the international development sector goes back to my childhood, because my parents were very much social justice parents. So it was ingrained in my DNA to actually work in this sector. At the time, I didn't know that it was called international development. But in 2012, I had the opportunity to be a volunteer with ADRA UK and to go and deliver the shoe boxes in Burkina Faso. So that was the start of my journey within international development. I was then able to work for some really good organisations, the AIDS Alliance, ADRA International, Save the Children, Care International, Feed the Minds, and now back to the ADRA network as the CEO of ADRA UK. I think the work that we do working with marginalised communities and seeing the difference on the people's faces when the interventions that have been done is something that's always resonated with me. And I think that that's my passion and my drive, is to see the change and to make that difference in people's lives. My vision for ADRA UK is to see us develop more stronger relationships with the church, with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of really good supporters working with the church and for the church over the many years. We've just recently celebrated 40 years of ADRA UK. And when you hear the different stories of the impact that has been made, that tells me that yes, there is still more work for us to do, and that we can actually then develop the organisation not only through the work that we do internationally, but also in the UK. During the COVID time, we ran the I Am Urban programme, and that made a difference to churches and communities in the UK that were going through the COVID and the cost of living crisis. And there is still work that we can still do in the UK. Globally, we still like to do a lot of intervention work, increase our humanitarian side, look at the different challenges in some of the key areas, such as the Horn of Africa, when we look at countries such as Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, where there's a lot of drought, and that we'd like to also work in bringing forward our projects and scaling them up, as well as the projects that we're doing in Asia as well. And just letting the church know, and not just the church, but also donors and fundraising people, that ADRA UK has done a lot, can do a lot, and we will continue to work within that sphere so that we can be a centre of excellence for the work that we do within the international development sector.